Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to a rather tardy and very new episode of Reading Epic Threads from my new studio in Spring, Texas. I come to you from my office that I am now using, and I am doing this episode because in a bunch of different ways. This episode is not a typical episode of Reading Epic Threads because I won't be, picking a piece and then reading it to you and all that good stuff. So a few of you might be bailing on me because of that, and that's fine. I totally understand. When I did the brief this morning, there were several people in the chat who pointed out that my audio didn't sound good, and I can feel it right now. I can feel the vibration of the room. I may do a piece, an original piece from Root Bitch for this episode. But I've got Erik Carlson in the hopper and all that good stuff. But what I want right now, if it's possible, is for us to chat about my sound. Arizona says it sounds good. D82 says, tell me it's Joe Lang. Joe Lang hasn't released his piece yet. It's not supposed to come out until tomorrow. Am I right about that? Or is there a Joe Lang piece that I've skipped over? Because if that's the case, then I'll just do it right now, and then I'll jump in and we'll figure it out from there. But I'm looking for David Carnahan says sounds good to me. Arizona said sounds good. D82 says you sound great, dude. Well, if that's the case, maybe we just read some friggin' epic threads. Does that sound good? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to, we'll just have to check it out. Is there a new Joe Lang piece? I thought that was not supposed to come out until tomorrow. In any event, screw it. If you guys think I sound good, we're positive I sound good enough to start reading epic threads. David Carnahan says, let's go. Empty Gun said, Patrick, after a hard night dancing on ecstasy, they shoot horses, don't they? Isn't that really long? Isn't that like a full-length play? They Shoot Horses, Don't They is a full-length play. Oh, or are you just saying in general? Okay, I don't know. There is a play called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? I remember. Anyway, all right. Look, I got to figure this out right now. Maybe we'll just go. Oh, holy crap. Sorry, I forgot to mute my Facebook chat. There we go. All right. So I guess we're good to go. My internet speed certainly is good. Empty Gun says 5x5. Everybody's saying I sound good. All right, do me a favor, guys. The few of you who are here right now, hit the thumbs up for me. Hook me up with that. All right. And with that, I got a certain guy who is like one of my favorites ever. And I'm just going to hop to it right now. Why not? We'll just see how it sounds. And I'm going to emote in the same way I normally do. These walls will echo when I get loud. I'm going to buy sound panels, a little foam to put on the walls too. And this is my studio, right? Therefore, it doesn't have to look fashionable, except right behind me. That's where it has to look fashionable. So we're working on it bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. All right, guys, let's do this thing. The piece from badlands.substack.com. It's by Erik Carlson. And it is entitled, The Deep State Has Already Lost. What damage will they do on their way out the door? By Erik Carlson. A few weeks ago, I watched an episode of a house flipping show. I don't remember the name of the show, Flipping Las Vegas or something like that. But frankly, it wasn't very good. In the pilot episode, which was in the aftermath of the financial crisis of 2008, the house flipper's real estate agent / buyer bought a foreclosure house in Vegas for him sight unseen. After the purchase, they pulled up together in separate cars to see the house they bought. They found the outside walls of the house covered in graffiti. Scared to discover what was inside, they braced for what awaited them. As the door opened, the first thing that hit them was a horrific stench. They briefly scanned the room before the buyer, dry heaving, had to run outside to throw up. Re-entering the house, they discovered the carpets and floors were torn up, the appliances destroyed or missing, the walls covered in graffiti, walls ripped open with the electrical work, copper and pipes stolen, toilets smashed, and cabinets pulled off the walls. It was a total gut job. At this point, they were hoping that they could just break even on the flip. The renters or owners had been evicted for not paying their rent or mortgage and destroyed the place in retaliation for being forced to move out. Watching this, one can't help but think some people are animals. The only unanswered question was, how bad was the condition of this small house while the tenants or owners still lived there, and how much of the damage was done immediately before they left? Eviction laws make it very difficult for landlords to evict a tenant in a timely manner. Landlords are usually painted as the bad guy by the public in most tenant disputes, and sometimes they are. But most landlords are just average, middle-class people who bought an investment property to rent out, creating an income stream that would, hopefully, last for them through retirement. They are simply trying to create passive income. The time between wanting a tenant to leave and actually getting them out of one's property can seem like an eternity. It's interesting that a few years back, BlackRock went around America buying up residential properties to rent out. They did this at a time when the housing market could be considered overvalued. In hindsight, I believe they were privy to information that allowed them to know interest rates would skyrocket in a year or two, and at that point, people wouldn't be able to afford to buy a home. This meant they could jack up rents, and there was nothing the renters could do about it. You will own nothing and be happy. Wouldn't it be interesting if companies like BlackRock created a situation that ended up backfiring on them? It would be poetic justice. BlackRock owned houses trashed by tenants who could no longer pay the rent. Why the house trashing analogy then? What will the deep state do when they are given their eviction notice this fall? How will the illegal immigrants who they brought into the country behave when they come to the realization that they will soon be evicted from America? I don't think either will go quietly without inflicting as much damage as they can on their way out the door. Back in the fall of 2019, before the COVID lockdowns and the BLM and Antifa riots, the movie Joker was released in movie theaters. In the movie, the lead character is an emaciated, emotionally disturbed, violent loser who lives with his mother. Interestingly, the role didn't call for Joaquin Phoenix to become so emaciated, but he chose to do so anyway. The anti-hero spurs on rioting and revolt by others like him in the city. It's difficult not to view Joaquin Phoenix's character as anything but the poster child for Antifa. Predictive programming, giving the target audience the permission to riot at a future point, a kind of blueprint. It should be noted that they had to release the movie in the fall of 2019 instead of closer to the BLM and Antifa riots because movie theaters were closed in 2020. Fast forward to today. In the fall of 2024, less than a month before the election, Joker 2 will be released in movie theaters. more predictive programming? Are the Antifa types being given the go-ahead to riot, to disrupt the election, to interfere in the transition of power? Will rioting be used to create chaos before, during, or after the election? Will cover be laid to activate sleeper cells, or will it just be a matter of breaking as much stuff as they can while the deep state is being forced out the door? I'm not a stranger to predicting future events accurately. I wrote about tax-free tips being a shot across the bow to the deep state a month and a half before it was on anyone else's radar. I wrote about the Digital Services Act a year ago, which is in the news cycle today. I wrote about the deep state shifting their power to Europe as we get closer to Trump taking office again. I predict the latter will be the next subject to be in the news cycle soon. Kamala Harris is now talking about tax-free tips, backtracking on everything she has actually done to ensure that those tips are taxed even more. I wrote that Trump stressing tax-free tips is a shot across the bow to the deep state and that he will dismantle the entire financial system when he's back in office, eliminating income tax altogether. Since Trump first began talking about tax-free tips, Biden has announced he won't run again. An assassination attempt was made on Trump's life, and RFK Jr. has endorsed Trump. Regarding the Digital Services Act, currently England is cracking down on anything they deem offensive online. They even claim they will extradite people to England to face charges and punishment. They want us to believe that if some farmer in Iowa likes a tweet someone put out about how men shouldn't be able to compete in women's sports, he will be extradited to England to face charges simply for clicking the like button. I'm sorry, but that isn't going to happen. He could be harassed by the FBI, but MI5 isn't going to be knocking on his door to take him away. It's all a threat to shut people up. Oh, and let's not forget about the CEO of Telegram being arrested in France, a clear fascist suppression of free speech. And now Alexander Vindman, the weasel with super hearing, who was able to overhear Trump's perfect call with Zelensky, is warning Elon Musk that he could be next. The U.S. is a Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, country. So Telegram being shut down wouldn't disrupt the U.S. elections too badly. But Telegram is much bigger in other countries, European countries. Shutting down Telegram would better isolate the continent from hearing the truth, especially if Musk and Zuckerberg both back Trump. Neither platform would be allowed in Europe, giving Europe complete isolation. Why are England and Europe cracking down on anyone who goes against their narrative through the use of the Digital Services Act? I believe they are trying to create a safe space for the deep state to exist after Trump takes power in the US again. They are insulating the continent of Europe. I would expect the next big push will be to make it much more difficult to extradite people from Europe. This would allow the deep state to avoid prosecution elsewhere. What is the deep state's plan for the U.S. after they are evicted from power and influence, or rather after they go underground or leave the country before they're arrested? My fear is that the deep state will have one last giant destructive pillage of the U.S. In the process, they will shift as much money to their offshore accounts as they can. They will send as much money to their puppet masters as they can. They will consolidate their strongholds elsewhere. This may be something we don't even notice, but it will likely happen just the same. For centuries, the deep state cabal have gone from one stronghold to another. They have been forced to leave one city to reestablish their stronghold in another city, in another country. For reference, the Spanish Inquisition starting in 1478 was one such act of removing the cabal from Spain. The removers were demonized in the process, while the cabal were portrayed as the victims. Where did the cabal go? Prussia and the City of London. When a region has had enough of the cabal and forces them out, the cabal simply pack up and relocate. The act of reestablishing themselves in a new city, in a new country, is just part of the process. Eventually, every region grows tired of the cabal abusing them and sacrificing their children, and the cabal wears out their welcome. It appears the U.S. has had enough. Finally, how will the cabal's exit from America look? I suspect some will try to blend in, like the famous Homer Simpson meme where he disappears into the bush. Some have already started this process. Some who hate Trump realize the inevitability of him taking power again and have gone as far as pretending to support him. Others have just taken their foot off the gas pedal and are taking a more neutral stance, hoping to avoid Trump's vitriol. Others know they need to get the hell out of Dodge as soon as possible. If you knew Trump being back in office would likely result in your being arrested and prosecuted for crimes against humanity, wouldn't it make sense to leave America to create cover for your being an expat? Wouldn't it make sense to say ahead of time that you will leave the country if Trump wins the election? You would make it seem like you wouldn't want to live in a country run by Trump when, in fact, you need to get out to avoid punishment for your crimes. What is the Trump team's plan to deal with the deep state? I can see the deep state reacting in multiple ways, maybe all at the same time. I can see mass hysteria and chaos created around the elections lasting up until Trump's inauguration. Antifa types burning, looting, and assaulting, especially in liberal-run cities, in an attempt to make the people believe that this is what they will have to look forward to under Trump. This is what they get for voting for Trump. I can also see a situation that appears to come off as a bit of a dud. No reaction around the election, a false sense of security created. Then cells that have been established in America over the past few years will be activated. If these cells aren't rooted out, they will cause acts of terror for the next several years, trying to convince the public that they made a mistake electing Trump. I'm confident that Trump is aware of any possibilities and has already taken measures to deal with them. I don't think most of the violent criminals that have been let into America the past 3.5 years are off the Trump team's radar. When the time is right, there will be a mass apprehension. As of today, Biden is POTUS, Kamala Harris is vice president, and Mike Johnson is Speaker of the House. If Biden steps down or is forced to step down and Harris takes over, Johnson is second in command. If it is discovered that Harris can't legally serve as POTUS, Johnson would then take over as acting president. Let's think about this. In my opinion, Trump handpicked who he would go up against in 2020. Biden and Harris. I'm a believer in patriots in control. I believe he needed to allow Biden and Harris to steal the election, understanding there weren't enough people awake in America to get a lot of the heavy lifting done in sequential presidential terms, and a lot of the heavy lifting that Trump wanted to get done, he preferred to happen on someone else's watch. A lot of what has been happening during Biden's presidency has been about motivating people to change their opinions and to set the table for Trump's next presidency. When Trump chose the very unpopular Kamala Harris to be Biden's running mate, did he know there are things about her that would disqualify her from being able to take over as POTUS if Biden were unable to perform his duties as president? Citizenship, drugs and alcohol, something else. Did this force the deep state to stick with Biden for the full term, even though every day he has been in office, the public have lost more and more confidence in the Democrat Party? If there is something about Kamala that disqualifies her, it makes sense why the deep state has been stuck with Biden for so long. If they replaced Biden with Harris and she couldn't serve as POTUS, then Mike Johnson would become the interim president. Was Kevin McCarthy put in as Speaker of the House to give the deep state a false sense of security? Did Mike Johnson replace him with a year left until the election to let them know who is really in charge? Don't try anything, or we'll put Johnson into the White House for the rest of Biden's term. Imagine if this occurred today or anytime soon, if Harris replaced Biden and then Johnson replaced Harris, the Republicans would control the White House during the election. Republicans would control the transition of government to Trump next January. Whether Johnson is to replace Harris as POTUS or not, the threat is there. The deep state likely needs to leave Biden in place unless their hand is forced. With Johnson as POTUS, the deep state would have a much more difficult time transitioning their power elsewhere. They would have a more difficult time pillaging America before their mass exodus. Johnson taking over and Trump being reelected is a worst case scenario for the cabal. We all saw how the Obamas waited several days before endorsing Kamala Harris. Is there something they know about her? And that's why they frantically tried to come up with a better substitute before finally endorsing her. Do they see her as a lousy candidate or actually ineligible to serve as POTUS? It certainly doesn't appear Trump is concerned about Harris taking over for Biden in the presidential race. Why hasn't the deep state replaced Biden with Harris as POTUS yet? It makes sense to do if you were looking to give Harris some legitimacy, to give her a 6-month trial run to show the world she can do it. They could even make sure a few good things happened on her watch. The inflation and unemployment numbers could be fudged even more to make her look good. She could take a tough stance on the border. A terrorist leader could be killed like the bin Laden lookalike that Obama killed before his last election. The only thing that makes sense to me is that the deep state knows Harris won't win the election, and that even if they stole it, she couldn't serve as POTUS. Essentially, they're punting. They are giving up possession while trying to move the line of scrimmage forward 40 yards or so. They're living to fight another day. If Harris could be POTUS, she would be POTUS today. Having to endure Biden as POTUS is not something the deep state prefers. In my opinion, Kamala Harris is VP because Trump wants her to be VP. Kamala Harris is running against Trump because he wants her to be running against him. Biden is still POTUS because Trump wants him to remain POTUS. With the deep state unable to replace Harris as VP, they've been forced to keep Biden as POTUS, who has been in the White House 6 of the 34 days since announcing he won't run for POTUS again. Seriously, who is running the country? And why does no one seem to care? In my opinion, the deep state knows if they replace Biden with Harris, Johnson will likely take over in an interim capacity. This is not something they want. The deep state is simply biding their time and preparing for a long winter, a winter they hope to survive. With the Patriots in control, my hope is that their control will keep the deep state from doing too much damage on their way out the door. I'm hoping, as with what has been the case for the past 3.5 years, most of the damage will not be irreversible. If the past 3.5 years are any indicator, most of the damage done this fall will be designed to create chaos and fear as a means to wage psychological warfare, but won't be permanent. I could envision a temporary stock market crash, another fake pandemic, a media blackout, or even rioting in the streets of blue cities. But I don't believe any of this will be real or long-lasting. We need to keep our eyes focused on the horizon, to where we are going, the promised land. If a short walk through the valley of darkness stands in our way, so be it. I will rely on my faith and hope that, and everything I have done to prepare myself the past several years, and so should you. Some people will try to blackpill you. I ask you, have they ever been right about anything so far? While I maintain hope, that hope always seems to be later supported by facts over and over again. It's not that I don't point out when things are worse than they appear. I've been beating the drum about the jobs numbers all being fake the past 3.5 years. Imagine that. I was proven right yet again, as close to 1 million jobs will be revised down from the government numbers. We are so close. The polls are fake. Kamala's support is fake, but their panic is real. I never heard of a mother who, after holding her newborn child in her arms, said the birthing pains weren't worth it. We are experiencing the birthing pains of a new existence, one that none of us has ever known before. Let's hunker down the next few months and rely on our discernment, our faith, and our hope, while the narratives begin to accelerate to a supersonic pace. Don't believe the lies, but at the same time, don't forget to enjoy the show. And that, my friends, is the latest from Erik Carlson at badlands.substack.com. And now, a message from our sponsor. Maybe, if I have it. Oh, there it is.
He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails.
Manganese will make you kill your mama. How much manganese are you spraying in my neighborhood at night while I'm asleep?
Military and some commercial jets have been fitted with huge barrels of at least 49 different kinds of documented chemical poisons. Barium is toxic to all mammals. Aluminum is known to diminish kidney function and destroy brain cells and cognitive function. A problem, a serious problem.
Patent number 5003186 describes cooling the Earth with metal oxides sprayed into the stratosphere.
And I thought, well, geez, this is what I do for a living. I was finding tons and tons of large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium in the forms of oxides and sulfates. Instead of protecting the people, we are poisoning the people.
Detox and prevent heavy metal poisoning. www.epicminerals.net. Promo code Shapiro. I haven't been able to say that in a while, guys. Promo code Shapiro for 10% off. And every time you use promo code Shapiro, 25% of that sale is set aside. It goes straight into my pocket where I spend it on freaking cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually do cocaine. You know, cocaine is one of those drugs that literally has no real use. There are no cases where you don't regret doing cocaine. Isn't that funny? Holy crap. I've got 260 of you watching on Twitter. There are more of you watching on Twitter right now than are watching on Rumble. Holy crap. Guys, do me a favor and follow me on Twitter if you don't already, and retweet this video and all that other good stuff. Get your rainfall, guys. I haven't really started putting essential oils in the rainfall yet. It's just unscented. But the feedback on rainfall is getting freaking turned, as the kids like to say. All right, let's do another piece. This one is going to be from Jon Rappoport. And I'm a fan of his. I just don't read him all that much anymore because he went all anti-Trump and stuff. But I still like him. All right. From JonRappoport.substack.com. Missouri man tests positive for bird flu. Yeah, sure. He had no known contacts with animals at risk for bird flu. Oh, wow. That could mean human-to-human transmission. Lock your doors, seal the windows, hide in the cellar. The man was hospitalized, possibly for some other condition, routinely screened for flu, came up positive, but not for seasonal flu. Further tests were run. Bingo, bird flu. Now, let's put all this bullshit aside and get down to some facts. He was tested with the PCR. That means a piece of genetic material from the bird flu virus was selected as the target the test would hunt for, except since the virus has never been seen or isolated or found, it's impossible to select a piece of its genetic sequence and hunt for it. Hey, let's pick some RNA and claim it's from the virus and tune up the PCR to look for it. This is the science. This is the jive. This is the idiot's delight. This is the scare tactic at work. Take this con one step further. The piece of RNA You want the PCR to hunt for, should it be a common chunk ordinarily present in millions of people's bodies, thereby ensuring a whole lot of people will test positive for bird flu? Or should it be an odd piece, rarely found in people because you're not ready yet to go apeshit and declare bird flu a widespread human pandemic? That's a little teaser trailer. John Rappaport. Check it out, y'all. JohnRappaport.substack.com. Howie DeWitt, is your wife a doctor? No, but if she was a doctor, I assure you, I would let you know every other sentence. All right. So Howie DeWitt says, if you use a booming voice, might bounce off the wall a little loud and clear to me. I'm going to boom. All right. Booming. Huh, huh. I just need to work on it. I'm going to get some panels and shit. I'm gonna get some panels because I want to be able to boom. I'm not gonna have panels up in time for our show tonight, Hindsight 2020. But you know what? I'll live. It'll be okay. All right, let's go ahead and what do you guys want to hear? We can't do any Joe Lang because he's not out yet. I don't know though, man, because we're at 38 minutes. Richard Rohr says reverb. Whatever, man. You know. So look, my question is, so you're hearing reverb. Reverb. How is that different from echoes? Anyway, I'll go back and listen to it on the recording. This room is not a square, but this room is not nearly as rectangular as my old room was, and the dimensions of your room are huge. I knew that. I just didn't know it well enough. Let's see here. Wood paneling, so 70s P gunnels. Wood paneling, what's wrong with foam? Richard, what's wrong with foam? I may end up getting freaking wood paneling, and I don't care if it looks gay. Although what I do know is that this background, being robin's egg blue, apparently is really nice with my complexion. And this shirt, not so much. It makes me look pink. I think it makes me look pink. D82 says, it's fine. Just glad to have you back in action. Thank you, D82. And I really am. I am back in action. I do need to fix this sound situation, though. All right. I don't know. You guys need to tell me in the email, if you can, do me a favor, send me an email about what you think the best way to sound treat my room. By the way, this color, these walls are actually beige. I know it looks white, but it's beige. I wonder if there's a way for me to make the color of my wall more apparent, because this wall is beige. Isn't that crazy? Nope. I don't know what to say. Anyway, I'm still working with it. Need some flat earth art behind you. Well, there's really only one big flat earth art. And that, of course, is the Gleason map, the azimuthal equidistant map. Let's see here. I think I got a Keith O'Higgins, $1. A counterbalance to the Joker rioting scenario. Spring, summer is prime rioting season. Good weather is a prerequisite for Antifa pussies. Yeah, it was the summer of love. Thank you very much for the super chat, Keith O'Higgins. I love that. I love getting super chats on my personal show. All right. Yeah, it sounds good. Really hard to tell much of a difference, says Howie DeWitt. Excellent. I love hearing that. Because if that's the case, Howie, then I'm just going to throw up some panels and say, fuck it. And Creaky Crawdad, hey, I miss doing this show. And I'm really sorry for having been gone for so long. Part of it is moving, which is a bitch. Another part of it is product development, which is a bitch. I have got my Epic Shield. I've got my Epic Shield and my Epic woodwork, Howie. It's there, and I'm going to hang it up. But I got to figure out what color this wall is going to be first. So that's foam is cool. P Gunnels, you need Scotty Martin intro videos. That's another thing, Richard. I think maybe getting straight to the point is a better way to do this show. Keith O'Higgins, are you sure the color isn't Caucasian? Wow. Anyway, gotta love a pun. Gotta love a pun. Wow, this is pretty cool, though. You guys are actually participating in chat, especially you, Howie DeWitt. You actually figured out how to get in the chat on Twitter. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because nobody can figure out how the hell to chat on Twitter. Okay, however, we do have other people chatting on Twitter. So I want to shout you out. Geronimo. We have, let's see, just Geronimo. And we also have David Carnahan on Twitter playing in the chat. Really appreciate that. We also have Havoc211 playing in the chat. Thank you so much. Okay. Also, Havoc211 says, sounds good. You don't look awful against the white wall as you were commenting the other day. The audio is strong. I'm really glad to hear that. Break King Cards sounds real and straight. You're on Twitter. Blue Little Digital. Hi there. So we have people actually figuring out how to hop into chat. I don't even know what to say. It's pretty badass. I want to give a big shout out to all of you, especially Millie B. Look at you. Millie B is in Twitter. Bam. And also Millie B is on Rumble. It's on both platforms. That's nice. It's warm-up time, allowing late friends to get here. Yeah, okay. So Richard Rohr makes a point about the Scotty Martin videos. That having a 5-minute Scotty Martin video gives people time to file in. And there is something to be said for that as well. I do not know the answer to this. I might do a Scotty Martin video sometimes and sometimes not do a Scotty Martin video. Yeah, Howie DeWitt saw me in the Spaces tab. I don't know if everybody knows exactly what you mean when you say, wait, yeah, there we go. Saw me in the Spaces tab. I can tell you this, though. This chat is a little more lit than I normally expect it to be from Rumble, which is starting to make it kind of fun. Let's talk about the Erik Carlson piece we just read. Hey, Rob Bod saying much respect from England. Thank you very much. England is the majority of my genome, according to my family tree. Yep. Mostly they come from an area in southern England, kind of near London. I think it's near London. Anyway, yeah, most of my family. The name Gunnels is definitely English. And it's a long story, but yeah, mostly English. Then some Irish. We don't talk about it too much. It's one of the reasons why I had to quit drinking. But anyway, about the Erik Carlson piece. The eligibility question of Kamala Harris would raise the question of Obama's eligibility. It doesn't seem as if they have to give a shit about eligibility. So I don't know. And furthermore, if Biden leaves, Kamala becomes president according to the 25th Amendment. But then it's not like Mike Johnson just becomes VP. The line of succession thing is designed so that if one of them gets taken out, the top guy gets taken out, and then the second in command gets taken out at like pretty much the same time, then they move to the third, which will be the Speaker of the House. But if Biden is taken out and Kamala becomes president, they don't just do-si-do into the next line, and that's the new order of succession. They use, I don't know exactly how it works, but they will use some kind of process to fill the VP spot again. And then the line of succession is what it is again. So the line of succession is designed, it exists there. Like if somebody takes out the top 10 people all at once in the line of succession, you go to number 11. That's how it works. Patriotic Pony says I sound great. Yeah, okay, so I think that all that's really going on here is there's going to be some reverb and echoey if I get loud. But I do get loud, and I am going to do something about it. But with all of you giving me all this like positive feedback, you feel cool. You're going to be able to live with this for right now. The sound bros are placated, so to speak. Now, there will be the occasional sound bro. You know, I still haven't shown some videos of Tim Walz making an ass of himself. And that was sent by MAGA Mabes. I'm going to be showing that in my next show. I just need to track it down in my videos. But he did all that effort to make those videos, and I still haven't played them on anything. All right. You know what, guys? I feel great. This will be fun. Tomorrow, it's going to be Joe Lang City, so it's going to be fun too. And I think I'm going to round out the show. So one thing that's going on is my wife, my lovely Ashley, is just a teeny bit under the weather right now. Happens. It often happens at the change of a season that the body goes into detox. And that's what's going on with her. Snotting, lots of snotting and various things. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, hey, everybody's saying I sound pretty good. I'm pretty happy. All right. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. With the chat being so much fun, I think I'll be able to do more of this yapping with y'all thing. You know, back in the day when I did YouTube, the chat was friggin' lit. And it wasn't as many people as it is here right now. Like, okay, let me just do a quick, I can look at how many are here on Twitter. 346 on Twitter. There's four of you on YouTube. Even though YouTube is by far the easiest platform to use. 4, because that's how suppressed YouTube is. But also on Rumble, we have 200 watching. It's not too bad. And if, of course, I start doing this more regularly, which I very much intend to, then there we go. I've also got a new one from Root Bitch. So that's going to come up. I'll do Joe Lang tomorrow and Root Bitch the day after that. It's going to be fun. In the meantime, I'm going to, when mommy gets home with the kids, I am going to take over so that mommy can continue to rest. So I'm going to do that right now. And just thank you, everybody, for being here. Hit the thumbs up if you can. Share this if you can. I want to give you my word that this is the mark of a new era where I don't skip reading epic threads for days and weeks at a time. That's bullcrap, and it's got to end, and it is ending. And now I'm very happy to say I don't have to hold off until I get paneling all over this wall, although the panels are coming. Ooh, Sod this says, looking forward to getting my zeolite soon. Yes, we also have been fulfilling orders like you would not believe. I took just a ridiculous number of crates. So I'll be doing it also again tonight, cranking out new orders. So it's going to be a fun time. Patriotic Pony, no, I am not on Pilled. I'll get back to it. I will. I promise. It's a weird. So when it comes to Pilled, I have to make a new stream on Pilled to be able to do it. And the interface is not all that great. And like 8 people watch me on Pilled. So it's just difficult to get motivated. Ooh, an old viewer from a year ago. Carlina, hi, how are you? All right. I love all of you. Hey, bought some more Rainfall and soap. Millie B, you are the bomb. I hope you really enjoy that soap. It is outstanding soap. I don't push the soap very hard, not because it's not the best thing out there, but because it is a low-cost item and it is relatively low margin. In order to make real money on it, I have to sell like a trillion of them. So we just have them as an addition on the website. Laura Kaiser and Infinite Charity make our soaps. Both members of our community, both friends, both people who you would find in the chat from time to time here. So I am very confident in the soap. And we're going to be coming out with a coffee-based soap pretty soon. And it smells so good, it's ridiculous. Check all of that out at epicminerals.net. Promo code Shapiro. Hey, guys, I love you all. Let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow.